Ciryl Gane, who's 6'5", 247 pounds, moves like a 170-pounder. It's crazy. He's bouncing like Wonder Boy, like bouncing like this the entire fight, bouncing, throwing feints, like completely changed the standard of heavyweight striking, and I'm not exaggerating.
Je crois que c'est Volker des Spivak qui ont pris mes meilleurs genoux. Mais moi là, je sens mon genou toucher derrière. Tu vois, un peu de la sensation. Ah, j'étais au fond de son corps.
Bien, bonne sensation. Une sensation aussi qu'on a généralement quand on est très à l'approche du combat. C'est un truc dans ma tête un peu affûté. Les combattants, ils vont comprendre ce que je dis, mais la compréhension, les choix, les mixeurs, je suis très précis et je suis bien choisi, tu vois. Et avec une rapidité, l'explosion, une volonté d'être sharp. Tant mieux d'avoir ça à la main.
Tom Aspinall just seems to be far ahead of all of them.
You know that him and Gane's fight is going to expose us a few things, because Gane might be the only guy in that heavyweight that might match him speed-wise.
Tom?
Yes.
Tom is just going to do exactly what Kamzat did to DDP to him. We all know that Gane doesn't have
but
any
funny
wrestling.
enough, Tom never really
Wrestles.
does that. No, he does wrestling, but he doesn't wrestle like that. He wrestles to find a finish.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
it might not be like a dominant wrestling the way Kamzat was, but he's going to utilize his wrestling skill against Gane. You know, Tom is a smart
Yes,
fighter.
I hope Gane does something, you know, like he's able to do something, because
Like throw a knee out of space or
you know, Aspinall's wrestling is not very aggressive like
Yeah.
these guys. So
Yeah.
if he's able to stuff with 1 or 2 takedowns and then keep it on the feet, he might have a chance.
Tom Aspinall has set the MMA world buzzing after dropping his latest training footage ahead of his highly anticipated clash with Ciryl Gane. The heavyweight champion showcased a brutal display of power, speed, and precision, leaving fans and analysts stunned at his sharpness. And on the other hand, Ciryl Gane has also been dedicating his camp to sharpening his explosiveness ahead of UFC 321. He has been polishing his striking, adding variety to his offense, and tightening his movement, displaying the speed and precision that make him one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the division. Tom Aspinall admitted that the pressure is high going into his fight with Ciryl Gane, but pointed out that Gane carries just as much weight on his shoulders. He notes that Gane has already missed out on 2 previous title chances, which adds to the stakes. Aspinall said no fighter wants to be embarrassed on such a big stage, making the pressure unavoidable for both men.
There's pressure on you every fight you have. Are you feeling pressure for this one?
Mate, absolutely. Absolutely, but there's certain types of athletes, there's certain types of people, not just athletes. There's those that pressure wears them down, and there's those who shine under pressure, and I am 100% part of the latter. But that being said, it's not just me who's under pressure. It's his 3rd title shot, mate, and he failed the first 2. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure on me, but there's also a lot of pressure on him. There's pressure on both of us. Every fight you go into, there's pressure. I can't speak for the rest of the fighters, but mate, I don't want to get kicked in front of millions of people. That's the biggest pressure in me. I don't want to get battered in front of millions of people. No way about it. So to me, that's the biggest pressure. Titles, all rankings, statistics, all that aside, I don't want to get beat up in front of millions of people, so there's always pressure.
Tom Aspinall also explained that the UFC had informed him several times that a fight with Jon Jones was forthcoming, so he began training camps on 3 or 4 different occasions. Each time, the date shifted, and then Jones eventually retired. Aspinall clarified that he wasn't simply sitting out by choice, he was preparing based on what the promotion told him. He admitted the constant ups and downs were mentally draining, but said the experience also allowed him to improve significantly as a fighter.
There was a lot of times when the UFC would tell me, right, the Jon Jones fight is happening in 3 months, for example. So we'd start the training camp, the intensity would up, and then the date would get moved. Like that happened like 3 or 4 times, and then eventually he retired. So it wasn't like I was literally sat waiting for the full year. I did think that the fight was going to come. And then everyone's saying, oh, well, why are you waiting? Why are you waiting? I wasn't waiting, I was getting told that the fight was happening, so there's nothing I could really do. My hands were tied completely by the UFC, so...
However, Tom Aspinall reflects on finally getting his matchup with Cyril Gane confirmed after several cancellations, noting this is the 4th attempt to make it happen. Set for October 25th in Abu Dhabi, he says his goal is to shut down Gane's title hopes once and for all.
Finally we're back after over a year hiatus. Cyril finally signed on the dotted line. This is the 4th time we've been matched up together, and now we are matched up for the 25th of October, Abu Dhabi, me and Cyril. The 4th attempt is here, and this is Cyril's 3rd title shot. We are going to try and get rid of Cyril Gane from the title picture for good.
Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen raised the question of what the outcome would mean if Cyril Gane won. He argued that the real challenge in this matchup was the risk involved, since even if Gane beat Tom Aspinall, the headlines wouldn't suddenly crown him the best heavyweight. Sonnen said Jon Jones would still hold that recognition, and pointed out the awkward scenario it would create if Jones came back, wondering whether the UFC would match him against Gane from a competitive standpoint.
If Cyril wins, that's really the problem with this fight. And I'm curious if that risk is big enough to take. I mean, if Cyril gets the jump on Tom, Monday morning does not come out that Cyril Gane is the greatest heavyweight in the world. Monday morning headlines will recognize that Jon Jones is the greatest heavyweight in the world. And it will be a very peculiar spot of if Jon raises his hand and is willing to come back. Will they put him in there with Cyril? From a sporting aspect, we don't need to see that fight.
Chael Sonnen called the clash between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane a turning point for the heavyweight class. He said that while blockbuster bouts usually draw the most attention, carefully chosen matchups could play a bigger role in shaping the sport's future. Sonnen also pointed out that Gane claimed the fight had already been booked and scrapped multiple times, which made now the ideal moment to finally settle it for both the rankings and the division's direction.
Aspinall versus Gane is a massive transitional fight for the heavyweight division. Now, you got to understand where we're at. And I'm a checkers player. When it comes to matchmaking, that is a unique skill and vision. But I will always go with low-hanging fruit. It's just the way my mind works. I take the biggest fight for right now. But sometimes you're playing chess. And I admire the guys that can do that. I admire the guys that can stand back, look at the board, not think about what's right now, think about what could be. Cyril Gane versus Tom Aspinall. According to Cyril Gane, he just did an interview. They tried to make this fight 4 times. And for rankings and for the integrity of our rankings, I get it.
Benoit Saint-Denis voiced a strong belief in Cyril Gane before his matchup with Tom Aspinall, saying he anticipated France earning its first UFC champion. He mentions that he has trained alongside Gane more this year than ever before, which only strengthens his confidence in Gane's abilities.
How do you think he does against Tom?
To be honest, I think we are gonna finally have our first French UFC champion. I think Cyril, I've been talking with him. I have been taking more time with him this year than the past years, talking and training and yeah.
Benoit Saint-Denis said Cyril Gane has the mindset and preparation needed to claim the belt. He highlighted Gane's steady work ethic and quiet focus throughout camp, noting his rare athletic qualities for a heavyweight. Saint-Denis predicts that over the course of 5 rounds, Gane's skill and patience will allow him to edge out Tom Aspinall. He expects a strategic, high-level contest, but feels confident Gane would come out on top.
I think he's ready, and I think he has this fire inside him of wanting to become champion, working hard since a long time. He's not talking a lot this past month, but he has been doing a real good job, and he has been working hard, and I do believe he's an exceptional athlete, even for the heavyweight division. And on 5 rounds, I do believe he's gonna beat Tom Aspinall, and I cannot wait to see it, because of course it's gonna be tactical and the very high level stuff, but I do believe Cyril can do it, and he will.
Wow.
Curtis Blaydes says Tom Aspinall has the advantage on the ground with the ability to take opponents down and control them whenever necessary. He suggests that this strength can be the deciding factor and predicts that if the fight extends beyond the opening round, Aspinall is the one who will come out on top.
I believe that Aspinall does have the advantage though in that the grappling department. I believe that whenever he wants to, he'll be able to put Cyril on his back, and he may not have to, but I believe he can if he does have to, and I believe that'll be the difference if he gets out of the first round. I'll go with Aspinall.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier expressed his enthusiasm for the heavyweight title clash between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane, saying it is a matchup fans have been waiting on for quite some time. He believes that while bookmakers have Aspinall as a strong favorite at -325 compared to Gane's +265, he expects the contest to be far more competitive than the numbers indicate.
We finally got Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane. Chael, we've been screaming about this Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane for a long time. UFC 321, Tom -325, Gane +260. We finally got the fight, but the world doesn't seem to believe, Chael, that it's a close fight. And I don't really agree with that line. I think this fight is much closer. Tom Aspinall -325, Cyril Gane +265.
On the other hand, Henry Cejudo views Tom Aspinall's fight with Cyril Gane as a tough challenge, pointing out that Gane's size and athleticism could prevent Aspinall from dominating as he has in past matchups. He calls it a real test of Aspinall's skills and adds that the result might also indicate if Jon Jones plans to come back for the heavyweight title.
You're giving them one contender, Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane is somebody that's a big heavyweight, that's very agile. I don't think Tom Aspinall gets rid of him right away like he has with other people, and I think that'll be a big indication if Jon Jones wants to come back and reclaim that bout once again.
Kamaru Usman noted that Cyril Gane tends to be underrated, praising his versatility, smooth movement, and striking ability. He also credited Tom Aspinall's speed, sharp boxing, and knockout power, saying it makes him hard to pick against. Usman described the matchup as a true showdown between elite heavyweights.
Cyril Gane is, people forget how fantastic he is. A guy that can kind of float around the octagon, touch you, kick you, hit you with elbow. He's just a complete game. But man, Tom's movement, his boxing, speed, and his power, it's very, very difficult to doubt this man anymore.
Elijah Smith favors Tom Aspinall, pointing to his wrestling, grappling, and rare quickness for a heavyweight. He praises Aspinall's movement, power, and footwork, saying that right now he doesn't view anyone in the division as a serious threat, while admitting there's always a chance he could be mistaken.
I got Tom. Yeah, I got it. I just think the wrestling and the grappling and the speed of Tom Aspinall, he's a heavyweight, but he doesn't move like a natural heavyweight. Like, he has really good footwork, really fast. Obviously, he's strong and powerful. Yeah, I think Tom Aspinall right now, I just don't see any, somebody might surprise me, but right now I just don't see anybody that would really be a good matchup for Tom Aspinall that would give him a challenge, as of right now. I could be wrong, but that's just how I see it right now.
Michael Bisping also responds to the fight announcement by praising Tom Aspinall's dominant victories over top heavyweights, but warns that Cyril Gane presents a different kind of test. He compares both fighters to Georges St-Pierre for their athleticism and speed, while pointing out that Gane's grappling flaws cost him against Jon Jones and could prove costly again versus Aspinall.
Now, when you look at the UFC heavyweight rankings, as I say, Tom has beat most of them, and he's beat them in style, and he's knocked them all out. Curtis Blaydes, Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, whoever they are, he's beaten them all up. But Cyril Gane is a little bit different. Now, of course, Jon Jones beat Cyril Gane in quick fashion, took him down in the first round, submitted him with a front choke. But Cyril Gane is the same as Tom Aspinall in terms of athletic ability. When I say that Tom Aspinall is a heavyweight Georges St-Pierre, that kind of goes to Cyril Gane as well. The man's gigantic, he's very quick, he's agile, he's light on his feet, he could run any sport on the planet, and he's almost like Georges St-Pierre and Tom Aspinall in the fact that he's got all those athletic attributes and qualities, but he doesn't have the grappling. That's what cost him against Jon Jones, and that's probably what's going to cost him against Tom Aspinall. You never know, he could clip him. This is a dangerous fight. This is heavyweight MMA.
Michael Bisping calls the matchup a dangerous one, as is common in heavyweight MMA, but says Tom Aspinall probably holds the advantage on the ground. He points out that Aspinall has been training in jiu-jitsu since his teenage years and expects his father to push push him toward that strategy. Bisping adds that Ciryl Gane's striking is so dangerous he even forced Francis Ngannou to grapple. Yet he still gives Aspinall the edge to come out on top.
He could clip him. This is a dangerous fight. This is heavyweight MMA. But Tom Aspinall can grapple. We've seen him take people down. He's done jiu-jitsu since he was about 15 years old. His dad is going to be on his case, and that's an absolute fact. Saying, hey, you're not messing with this guy. Take him down. Show him what you can do. Show the world your grappling capability. Remember, Ciryl Gane turned Francis Ngannou into a wrestler, okay? So he's a very, very credible threat on the feet. But of course, I do fancy Tom Aspinall to get the job done. The fact that he isn't fighting John Jones is insane, but we've talked about that till the cows come home, so I'm not going to bore you on that subject anymore. But just you wait. John Jones is probably going to pop up on Twitter. If he doesn't beat Ciryl Gane as fast as what John did, guaranteed we're going to get some tweets.
Ariel Helwani also talks about Tom Aspinall's upcoming title defense against Ciryl Gane, noting that fans have been waiting for this matchup for years. He explains that Aspinall asked for the fight to take place in Abu Dhabi because of tax advantages and its closeness to home, and the UFC agrees to his request.
Tommy defending his undisputed gold, technically for the very first time, against the pride of France, the French prince himself, Bon Gamin himself, the one and only Ciryl Gane. These two have been going back and forth for the better part of 2, maybe 3 years. Well, this was the fight that we all thought was going to happen in Tom's official first title defense, and so it is in fact going to happen. Tom wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi. That was the sense that we got when he became undisputed champion. He didn't want to wait for New York. Let's be honest, the tax is a little better over there in Abu Dhabi compared to New York for an Englishman, for anyone, if we're being 100% honest. And so he wanted to be active. He wanted to fight in October. He wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi. It's closer to home.
MMA Guru reacts with excitement to the fight announcement, predicting Tom Aspinall scores a first-round knockout against Ciryl Gane. He points out that Tai Tuivasa was able to drop Gane even while being outclassed, so a sharper and faster striker like Aspinall is even more likely to put him away quickly.
The UFC is really back. But Aspinall versus Gane, scary matchup. I think Aspinall's going to win by KO in the first round. If Tai Tuivasa can ever drop you on your ass in an MMA fight after you've beaten him up for the whole first round, if he can find a way to find your chin in that second round and drop you at any point in your career, I think Aspinall will find it in the first round, and I do think we'll see a first round Tom Aspinall KO.
MMA Guru warns that if Ciryl Gane wins, it could catch fans off guard, especially longtime John Jones supporters who might shift their backing to him. He still leans toward Tom Aspinall, saying that while Gane is dangerous on the feet, his lack of grappling strength leaves him exposed against someone with Aspinall's skill set.
You know, if Ciryl Gane wins, my life will crumble before my very eyes. You understand this, right? We can't have Ciryl Gane win. There's gonna be a conglomerate of MMA fans that are suspiciously pro Gane here for no reason whatsoever. Okay? Now, these may be considered former John Jones fans that now have nowhere to go because Jones retired, that will now pretend to be Ciryl Gane fans and pretend to want Ciryl Gane to win for the good of the sport. I just think he's way better. Tom Aspinall's the correct prediction. It is a very risky matchup. Ciryl Gane is very, very technical. Ciryl Gane is harder to hit than any former opponent of Tom Aspinall. I just think his grappling is a weakness, and he'll be thinking about that in a fight with Tom. And while you're thinking about that, you've also got to think about being knocked out with any punch you get hit with.
Eric Anders sides with Tom Aspinall, praising his versatility and finishing power. He says Aspinall not only keeps up with Ciryl Gane's speed, but may even outshine him in hand speed and boxing. Anders also highlights Aspinall's submission ability, giving him multiple ways to win the fight.
Tom Aspinall, I think he's just got more ways to win, hits a lot harder, and just, I think Gane's advantage over everybody was the speed, and I think Tom Aspinall is just as fast, if not faster, especially with the hands and the boxing and stuff, and he's got submission wins too, so I'm going with Tom Aspinall.
Matt Brown observes that both fighters enter the matchup under heavy pressure, but he feels Tom Aspinall carries more due to the current state of the heavyweight division and what is at stake for his legacy. He explains that a win for Ciryl Gane could damage the division's credibility, while Aspinall has the chance to cement himself as its leading figure. Brown also notes that even a close win or a small mistake from Aspinall could shape how the division and his status within it are viewed.
It's almost an unfair comparison, right? When we talk about pressure versus pressure, everybody's under tremendous pressure. But I guess when you kind of look at it, from not just pressure, but potential legacy and career and what's on the line, I think it's hard to not go with Tom Aspinall because the heavyweight division is on the line. If Gane goes in and beats him, no disrespect to Gane, love the guy, the heavyweight division loses a lot of respect. Even if Tom goes out there and it's a close fight, or he gets dropped and then has to come back or something, like, the heavyweight division has so little respect right now, probably deservedly so, I think. You know, even with Gane getting his 3rd title shot in a couple years, like, Tom has to show that he is the heavyweight division. You know, he has to prove that to the world. Like, I am, you know, the heavyweight division's not just but like, I'm so good that the heavyweight division is right. This is kind of his thing that he has to go out there and prove to the world.
Julius Walker sees the matchup as a tough challenge for Ciryl Gane, pointing to Tom Aspinall's complete skill set. He says Aspinall can keep up with Gane's speed and athletic ability while also holding a major edge on the ground, predicting that Aspinall could secure a submission if the fight takes place.
I think that's a really tough fight for Gane. Aspinall is just very, very well-rounded. You can kind of match him with that speed and athleticism that Gane usually enjoys over most heavyweights. And then Aspinall, I think, has a huge grappling edge there. So if that fight does come to fruition, I'm going to go with Aspinall by submission.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about the matchup? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.